Let's get in the trenches with some semis. Scott, so the semi index, SHM, has kind of yet to break out above highs. So I got to wonder, is this ready to make a move?
The SMHs have acted very well ever since Intel's earnings. The semis were lagging, and everyone thought they were left for dead, especially Intel. Take a look at these SMHs. They're near new highs. Here are the SMHs right here. This is when it broke that downtrend. It gapped above it, on the Intel earnings, and ever since then, it's come back to these highs. I do think little sideways action, and they can make new highs, which to me would be very, very important for the NASDAQ and could help keep propelling this market higher.
So if it goes sideways, is that the time you want to get in?
Yeah, right around here, because here you had your entry. It's a little extended, a little sideways. Then you can get a breakout trade on that SMHs.
So let's hit Intel really quickly. Reported a killer quarter, as we know. We sort of left it alone, right, for a couple days into earnings. So what do you do now after it's up, 14% since last Monday?
Well, at this point, hopefully you got involved because we talked about it on Monday. And we talked about how sometimes you don't take risk into earnings, but there's a trade after earnings. And boy, was there ever a trade in Intel. I couldn't even believe it. A lot of people got very thrown off by the power of this Intel move. Now, here was the move on earnings. You remember that? We talked about if it doesn't fill the gap, you could buy it above this pivot. And look what happened above 21.5. This is a big move for Intel through a lot of old resistance. So this stock has higher prices, and this could keep this group in place. So we have to start looking for some other stocks that could actually go as well.
Good lead-in. I will take that. So let's get to the best Me Too play, in your opinion, that's out there right now in the space.
Well, there are a few. So first I want to talk about real quickly CLAC, AMAT, and Novellus. You're kind of buying it in the hole here. We talk about playing momentum, but we also want to buy some of the dip. I'm going to go through a few charts. CLAC looks decent. It's below the moving averages. It's against the rules a little bit, but I do think you could buy some. It's pulled off the high.
But to note, though, Scott, they report Thursday. So I don't know if that's a more risky play then headed into earnings.
It is definitely a more risky play. So maybe just do a tier 1 down here. Then if it breaks this downtrend and goes, you add some. I think AMAT also, same type of pattern. It's coming into the moving averages. I'd like you to see you buy it here, just so if it does go back to highs, you're not just adding it there for the momentum.
And I want to point something on AMAT too, is that it was kind of the laggard in this space, but saw a lot of bullish options activity yesterday, which could be, leading up to some big breakout too.
Someone else is on the game. So both of those, buying in the hole looks good. Novellus also. But then there's a different area in the semis that I think are starting to perk up.
Which area, Scott?
There you go. NVIDIA. NVIDIA we talked about yesterday. Some traders bought it yesterday. I like the pattern here. If you look at NVIDIA, it's actually looking pretty good. It also is one of those buy in the hole catch-up plays. But if it starts to get above yesterday's high of, what is this, about 1950, I think you have an easy move to about 22, and then it could go back to the highs. So, some decent action there.
And let me just jump in 1 second. Is it for the long-term investor who might not want to own a lot of semis, is there one that sort of is highlighted for you? And keeping in mind that CLAC and AMAT and Novellus are the companies that supply the chip makers with their stuff that they need to make chips. So I don't know if that actually makes a difference if you're a long-term investor.
Well, I don't think you need to be in all three of those. Pick one or two that you like to have exposure to that group. Hopefully you bought some Intel earlier in the week, and now maybe you want to get some of the other stocks in that group. So pick which one you want. A lot of them are similar.